It's not turning on.
Only if I go outside or if I turn off.
I'd like to call tonight's meeting of the Board of Adjustment to order. And we have a roll call vote, please.
Scott Cummings. Alexa Gonzalez. Here. John Moreland.
Here.
Francis Reddington.
Here.
Jeff Trular.
Here.
Owen Crowley.
Here.
Dan O'Malley.
I, for one, have had no ex parte communications with anyone regarding any of the cases tonight.
I've had none.
I've had none.
I've had a call from Stephanie Poole concerning 21-1000059, voicing her that she's against the variance.
I've had none.
Okay. May we entertain a motion to approve the minutes of May the 18th?
So moved.
Second.
We moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The minutes have been approved. Do we have any correspondence?
Through the chair,
Excuse me.
you did receive some emails in your packet, and then I believe there were some that were given out, as well as the clerk today that we received from late last week. They're all in relation to number 3 on the agenda.
59.
Mhm.
We have no old business. May we proceed with the first case of new business?
Yes, sir. Board calls case number BOA number 20-100040, applicant Dakota Briggs, owner American Classic Homes, property address 512 First Street South, parcel ID 17. Oh, is that last week? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was reading from the wrong one. I was reading from last time. I apologize. Strike that. Case number BOA number 21-100057, applicant Michael Stouffer, architect, owner Joseph K. Bing, property address 73 28th Avenue South, parcel ID 181624-0000, legal description lot 7, block 4, Atlantic Shores, oceanfront section, division C, current zoning RS1. Motion to consider a variance from Land Development Code sections 34-336E1C1 for a front yard setback of 14 feet in lieu of 25 feet minimum, 34-336E1C2 for side yard setbacks of 6 feet in lieu of 10 feet minimum, 34-336E1C3 for a rear yard setback of 7 feet in lieu of 30 feet minimum, and 34-336E1E for 49% lot coverage in lieu of 35% maximum to allow for construction of a new single-family dwelling.
Will the applicant or agent please come up and explain to the board the nature of the hardship created by the property?
Yes. Good evening, Michael Stouffer.
Sorry. If you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this case is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And if you could please state your name and address for the record.
Yes. My name is Michael Stouffer, architect, 1417 Sadler Road in Fernandina Beach, Florida. And this is a substandard lot of record. It is a lot zoned RS1, which will require a 10,000 square foot lot. And the actual area of the lot is 3,430 square feet. And that is why we're asking for the variances here. This may seem like deja vu, as a month ago I was here on a lot on 27th Street, exactly the same size, where we did 2 lots there that were asking for exactly the same variances that we were granted at that hearing for those 2 lots. I'm happy to answer your questions.
I have a question. You have this as a conceptual, basically, sketch. You have a patio here. Is that a patio with a gazebo over it, or just a flat patio?
Just a flat patio.
So you're not looking for anything other than a patio?
Yep. And we've included that in our lot coverage.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Saw that.
Any other questions?
Yeah. I just have a quick question. You kind of tied these people, whoever buys this home, kind of have their hands tied about putting a pool in my patio.
It's extremely difficult on these lots because of the size. You either have to sacrifice house or outdoor for these kind of things. In other houses in the area, we talked long and hard about wanting to do something that's outdoor living because, sacrificing a little bit of footprint for outdoor patio space.
You know, at 49%, you understand what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, what we're done, when we fill this, we're done. There's no opportunities to expand anymore.
Well, the people that buy it understand that.
They do.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I don't have other questions.
Do we have any, actually, we don't have any cards. We do not. Okay, there's nobody who wanted to speak on this case. I close the public hearing and bring the matter back for the board's discussion.
My initial thought is this, for an RS1 lot, this is where it runs size, it seems reasonable what they're attempting to build here with setbacks. The parallelogram does make hard for the back as well. You know, my only question was if that's going to be more than a patio. That was pretty good with everything else.
Yeah, it's only not even quite 1,400 square feet, the house itself, so.
Yeah, if this was a standard lot, it would be 17.5% lot coverage.
Oh, yeah.
My pleasure.
I make a motion to approve BOA 21-100057 for a variance as outlined in section 24.286 of the Land Development Code. Special circumstances and conditions do not result from the actions of this applicant.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Jeff Trular,
Yes.
Owen Curley,
Yes.
Alexi Gonzalez,
Yes.
Francis Reddington,
Yes.
John Morgan,
Yes. Okay, your motion has been, your request has been approved. Thank you. Next item?
Board calls case number BOA number 21-100058, applicant Michael Stauffer, architect, owner Joseph K. Bing, property address 91 28th Avenue South, parcel ID 181-625-0000, legal description lot 8, block 4, Atlantic Shores Oceanfront Section, Division C, current zoning RS1. Motion to consider a variance from Land Development Code Sections 34-336E1C1 for a front yard setback of 14 feet in lieu of 25 feet minimum, 34-336E1C2 for corner side and side yard setbacks of 6 feet, both in lieu of 10 feet minimum, 34-336E1C3 for a rear yard setback of 7 feet in lieu of 30 feet minimum, and 34-336E1E for 49% lot coverage in lieu of 35% maximum to allow for construction of a new single-family dwelling.
So the applicant, please come forward and be sworn in again.
please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this case is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And one more time, name and address for the record.
Michael Stauffer, architect, 1417 Sadler Road in Bernardino Beach, Florida. And
Again, if you could,
as I said last time, ditto, we're same thing. Yeah, again, same thing, this is a substandard lot of record, same circumstances, it would be an RS1, which require 10,000 square feet, your math is right with the, we actually, our coverage on that would be 17%, and we're just asking for this because of the size of the lot.
I guess my only comment is, but it shouldn't change your application, but if you decide not to move that AC pad next to the patio next door, but it still doesn't have it, you're still within your construction limits.
Thank you.
any questions, comments? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Since there's no one here who wants to speak on this case either way, and bring the matter back to the board for discussion and some kind of decision.
I'll make a motion, if that's okay. I make a motion to approve BOA 21-1000. Which one is this? 58. For a variance outlined in sections 34-286 of Land Development Code sections, special circumstances and conditions do not result from the actions of this applicant.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Jeff Trular,
Yes.
Owen Corey,
Yes.
Alexi Gonzalez,
Yes.
Francis Reddington,
Yes.
John Moran.
Yes. Your request has been approved.
Thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda.
Board calls case number BOA number 21-100059, applicant John Atkins of Atkins Builders, owner Aussie Development, Inc., property address 1952 Horn Street, parcel ID 179928-1-0000, excuse me. Legal description, lot 12, block 10, Williams Coastal Boulevard Heights. Current zoning RS2, motion to consider a variance from Land Development Code Section 34-337E1C2 for total side yard setbacks of 10 feet in lieu of 15 feet required to allow for construction of a new single-family dwelling.
You know the routine.
If you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And please state your name and address for the record.
John Atkins, 1888 Foss Lane, Jacksonville Beach.
And the nature of your hardship.
The hardship is this lot is undersized in width and in, excuse me, and in square footage. We're only asking for a reduction in the width or the side setbacks. We're not asking for anything else. This lot is the last lot in this subdivision that was just, it appears to be left out in some manner. This planted long before this current land development code was done. And without a variance, this would render this lot unbuildable. In effect, we're asking for a 10-foot total on side setbacks, but in the RS2 zoning district, you can go within 5 feet of the property line on either side, up to, or as little as 5 feet on either side. So in effect, we're not going any closer even to either side. It's just the one side that would be 10 would now be 5. And the new home would be consistent with other homes. They're not this narrow, but size-wise, something in the neighborhood of 1,700 to 1,800 square feet. I did have some communication with a few of the neighbors, and what we've done, we've designed the house, which you guys don't have a picture of yet, but I can hand that to you if I may.
As long as we can keep it.
Yes.
Thank you.
The preliminary, that just shows the lot, and then the preliminary plan. We planned it to where on the north side of the house, there are no windows that are below 6 feet above eye level. So transom windows on the second floor. So there will be no way for the occupant to look out into the three houses in the north all have pools, and this would respect their privacy and let it light up high, but not be able to see out to the side. We have one window on the south side of the whole house that has a full-size window to be egress for fire code. But other than that, we have one window on the whole house that looks to either side.
Any questions?
Just one question. You referenced one side would be 5 feet. Wouldn't both sides be 5 feet?
Both sides will be 5 feet. Well, I did a very poor job of explaining that.
I can see the point, but
We
if I
could
heard it
slide
right-
the house, if the house was 5 feet narrow, you could slide it within 5 feet of either side. So what it's saying is, we're asking for 5 feet on both sides instead of just one.
How many stories is this house? 3? You're conceptual or 2? 2 stories?
I'm
Are
sorry.
you 2 stories or 3? 2 stories.
Yeah, it's just about an 1,800 square foot house. Yeah, it's hit on the second page, just the house.
You said you spoke to some of the neighbors. What did that say?
I had some email conversations, I didn't speak to anyone. There was not a lot of applause.
You know that there was variance that was turned down a couple of years ago.
That's correct, and they were asking for considerably more lot coverage. Even on this small lot of 3750 square feet, we are staying under the 35% lot coverage.
Any other questions? Okay, you may be seated.
We have lengthy correspondence. Should we do proposed first for speakers or email first? Okay, if it pleases the board, I am just going to list the names and just summarize whether they are for or against the variance, because there are many, many emails. The first email does not list any contact information, but they say this construction should not be allowed in the neighborhood. The second is from Leslie McMahon at 1110 Owen Avenue, Jacksonville Beach. Says her property shares a property line with the property in question and asks that we please vote no on the variance to build a house here. Sharon Pickering of 1102 Theodore Avenue requests that we vote no on this application. Dan Goldman at 1046 Owen Avenue writes to voice his opinion against the variance. Peter Kimball, 2251 Riley Street, Jacksonville Beach, says, I do not believe this is in the best interest of the neighborhood. Sean DeBoer of, I'm sorry, I don't see his address here, opposes the variance. Sarah Pyle strongly opposes the variance, 1120 Owen Avenue. Liz Sell is against granting the side yard setback variance. Chris Barton of 574 10th Avenue South, writing to oppose the variance. Mary Nicole, against the variance. Ross Gambrell, asking the board to deny the variance. Karen Smith of 1110 Theodore Avenue, opposed to the variance. Matthew Reimer, looks like they wrote an email the last time around opposing the variance and says same concerns as last time. John Elrod, 1781 Horn Street, opposed to the reintroduction of the requested variances at the subject property. Liz Stewart, property owner at 1125 Osceola Avenue, writing to voice concern and asking that we please uphold the existing regulations and deny a building permit for this development. Christopher Ventura, 1129 Owen Avenue, writing as a protest to the building of this property. Carrie Kelly writes an objection to the requested variance. Julia Sanders, I'd like to formally submit my support for this variance. And then it's signed Ryan Weatherhold, Jacksonville Beach resident, 19 12th Street South, Jacksonville Beach. Ryan Weatherhold again, I'd like to formally submit my support for this variance. Matt Roberts, 941 Ruth Avenue, I'd like to formally submit my support for this variance. Jacqueline Falla, 941 Ruth Avenue, I'd like to formally submit my support for this variance. Joseph DeGance, 1019 Theodore Avenue, completely against building on this property. April Mitzel, 1126 Owen Avenue, fully against this request for a number of reasons. Aaron Albon, 1827 Horn Street, writing to strongly oppose the variance for this property. Ivan and Ann Richter, 2030 Horn Street, writing to express opposition. Tom Gidry, 2212 Riley Street, writing an objection to the development on this property. Amy Frank, opposed to the city approving anything that would negatively impact our property values or change the dynamics of our neighborhood. Aaron Clancy, reaching out to formally oppose the construction of the proposed home. Robert and Sue Ann Peters, homeowners at 1216 Theodore Avenue, expressing concerns and ask that we oppose issuing this variance. Mary Warren Eubank, asking that we please deny this request. Brett Eubank, asking that we please deny this request. And David Glazer at 490 North 5th Street in Jacks Beach says, I'd like to formally submit my support for this variance request. That's all for email correspondence. Do we have some cards?
Have some cards. And before we get into the cards, these are filled out by people who would like to speak for or against this particular request. And there are a lot of people here. I think all of us would like to be able to go to bed tonight. And so I'd like to suggest that if you have something new to say and you want to speak, feel free to come up and add something new to the discussion. On the other hand, if what you want to do is to reiterate the comments of people who've spoken before you, I'd request that you come up and go on the record as saying ditto or something to that effect. And not hold up the meeting for too long.
So I'll read the cards first of those who do not wish to address the board. Ross Gambrell, 1105 Theodore Avenue, Jacksonville Beach. I do not wish to address the board, but I am opposed to the agenda item. Renee McLean, 1438 Justice Drive, Jacksonville Beach. I do not wish to address the board, but I am opposed to the agenda item. Sharon Pickering, 1102 Theodore Avenue. I do not wish to address the board, but I am opposed to the agenda item. Aaron Alban, 1827 Horn Street. I do not wish to address the board, but I am opposed to the agenda item. Richard Tomporowski, 1855 Riley Street. I do not wish to address the board, but I'm opposed to the agenda item. Ann Richter, 2030 Horn Street. I do not wish to address the board, but I'm opposed to the agenda item. And Curtis Allen, 1950 Pulliam Street. I do not wish to address the board, but I'm opposed to the agenda item. Okay, on to speaker requests. First, we have Vicki Mezek, 1855 Riley Street, who wishes to address the board and is opposed to the agenda item.
If you'll please allow yourself to be sworn in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this case is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And please state your name and address for the record, and feel free to adjust the microphone height if you need.
Vicki Message, 1855 Riley Street.
If you could pull the microphone a little closer or hold it in your hand.
Okay. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, I hope I wasn't going to be first, but my neighbors are going to be much more eloquent. I'll just say that I was here previously a couple of years ago when this variance request came up on this lot, and I learned a couple lessons from it. One, which is a little bit different, I noticed they only kind of counted the people that spoke. So I forced myself and said, nope, I'm going to come up and speak, but thank you for mentioning the cards. And when this came up, and this is a 25-foot lot, there was a question one of the board members had, which was, is it better to have a 15-foot wide house versus a 10-foot wide house? So I'm here to tell you, no, it is not better to have a 15-foot wide house. And I am asking you to let the Land Development Code do its job and protect us from indiscriminate building. So I urge you to deny the request for a variance. Thank you.
Next card is for Olga Goldman, 1046 Owen Avenue, who wishes to address the board, opposed to the agenda item.
Good evening. If you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this case is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
And please state your name and address for the record.
Olga Goldman, 1046 Owen Avenue. I was also here 2 years ago My neighbors might know me as somebody who lives in front of what's called Lake Owen, because although there are 2 city drains in my front yard, they don't do their job, because even during the afternoon storms, it floods. My street floods. I understand that this year, they're not requesting the 44-foot coverage as it was 2 years ago, because the builder's not putting in backyard. He put up a sign in the lot that said there's not going to be anything in the front or the backyard. But whoever moves in, we live in Florida, they will want that outdoor living. So if that house is built, you will see whoever the homeowner is in front of you asking for variance to allow them to put in pavers, to put in a pool, to put in something to be able to go outside. So if you grant this variance, it will set precedence for variances requesting to build more and more homes on 25-foot wide lots. 2 years ago when Sean Mann was here from Aussie Development, he said there are no other lots like this in the area. And I want to say that that's extremely untrue. We own 1046 Owen Avenue as well as 0 Owen Avenue, which is the adjacent 25-foot wide lot. So if we wanted to, we could sell that lot, and if you grant this variance, somebody else could build a 15-foot wide home on that property. There's also my neighbors across the street that are on the triple lot that have an adjacent 25-foot wide lot, and there's also a home at, I didn't put down the address, on the corner of Theodore and Riley that's also a double lot as well as an adjacent 25-foot wide lot. What I'm saying is just in that area alone, there's 4 lots that are 25-foot wide. So it will set precedence, because if you grant this variance, there will be other variances before you asking for the same thing. 2 years ago, Sean Mann also said that there's no, this will not set precedence for building 15-foot wide homes. That's not true, because there's plenty of 15-foot wide homes in Jacksonville Beach. There's one at 779 10th Avenue South right now. If you drive by it, it kind of catches your eye because it's really aesthetically unpleasing. I also wanted to say that during the last meeting, when this came up, a lot of neighbors said, why don't you come talk to us? Why don't you see what we can do? Maybe we can work something out. The developer has not reached out to anyone because I've been in that neighborhood the last 5 years. I believe that it is, also question, why was it last time the variance was for 2452 Horn Street, but now it's for 1952 Horn Street? So there's inconsistency in that. The address on the last, the August 6, 2019, it was for 2452 Horn Street, now it's for 1952 Horn Street, so that's inconsistency in the address. So the hardship, whenever Mr. Atkins came up, he said that the property was purchased prior to the zoning changes. I'm not sure, because Sean Mann, last time he was here, he spoke that this property was purchased as part of a bulk purchase in 2013, so I'm not sure if the variances have changed since then. I have not had time to research that. Also, last time Sean Mann mentioned that that property was purchased for $20,900. So maybe it's something that the city can work out with the builder. Maybe that can be a charitable donation to the city of Jacksonville, because as it stands right now, that property is not really developed. You can't develop something on it unless you're putting a 10-foot wide house on it. So, possible solution, maybe the city can declassify that property, because as it stands right now, you can't put anything wider than a 10-foot wide home. The variances are here to protect us as homeowners. It's here to protect the flooding. I mean, you know, I deal with it every single time it rains, let alone when there's a tropical storm or a hurricane. The developer can sell it. I mean, let's be honest, the only hardship is because the developer wants to sell that property. Currently, they're paying taxes on it. They don't want to be paying taxes on it if they can develop it. The home at 779 10th Avenue South sold in 2019 for $360,000, with property values going up by 10 to 15% every year in Jacksonville Beach. That property, if they were to build something, could sell for over $400,000. So, profit once again, it's not really hardship. So, Lastly, what the builder can do if they hold on to it, property at 1105 Theodore Avenue is on triple lot, so hope to buy that one day and then, divide it into 2 lots. However, I doubt anyone would want to sell it. So, lastly, I just want to remind you guys that you are here for us. You're here to represent us, the homeowners. I ask you that you do the right thing, and once again, you denied this motion. I understand it's not a very nice lot because it's so skinny, but that's something the city and the builder and the neighbors can work out and maybe figure out a solution. But building a skinny house on that lot is not a solution as it stands right now. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you. And the last speaker card we have is for Sean DeBoer, 1120 Owen Avenue, wishes to address the board opposed to the agenda item.
Please be sworn in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this case is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
And please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Sean DeBoer. I live at 1120 Owen Avenue. My property is directly adjacent to the requested variance, and I'm one of 7 properties that are right around that variance that this property is trying to be squeezed into. So I have several concerns. A few have been voiced, so I'll try to be very quick. Number 1 is my privacy. As all the other properties around, we don't want to have 5-foot variances right next to our fences. A little bitty 25-foot wide piece of property. As Olga said a minute ago, my backyard significantly floods as it is with severe storms, much less hurricane and tropical storms. So if we put a building directly right behind my property with a 5-foot variance, where's the water going to go? I'm also very concerned about parking. So as you can imagine, parking at Jacksonville Beach is at a premium, especially in the summertime. This past weekend, a lot of the spots were off the street. There was nowhere to go. We also don't want the additional traffic. A lot of us have little kids, myself included. People already fly through there as it is, and we try to keep the traffic to a minimum. So we don't want any of it. I'm also concerned about my property value, just for the fact that somebody puts in a 15-foot shotgun home directly behind my house. My garage door is a standard 2-car garage door, as most of the homes in our neighborhood. It's 16 feet wide. They're asking for this house to be 15 feet. My garage door is wider than this house. It doesn't really fit the profile of our whole community. And my biggest concern overall for the community is just, as we previously addressed, and I'll be quick, just setting precedent. There are some open lots still available. Who's to say that those 50-foot lots couldn't be cut in half into 2 25-foot lots? Or as the development is going on so quickly in Jacksonville Beach, a lot of places are being demolished and new places are being put up. There's a lot of risk to our community. We're very worried that these little homes will go in place of where a bigger home should be that fits our community. I'm humbly asking you all to put yourself in our shoes and vote no on variances. Thank you.
Very good, John. Great job.
Would you like to make a response to what you heard?
Through the chair, just to address the question of the address. The address doesn't actually, the previous address doesn't correlate with the surrounding addresses. It was actually the planning and development department that is proposing a new address if something were built on this lot to match the addressing scheme for Horn Street. So that's the reason for the change.
Thank you.
Okay. Excuse me, address a few concerns. The first one obviously is privacy that came up. Again, I have had the house designed to where it will not encroach on anyone's privacy there. The flooding and somebody said, where is the water going to go? Nothing is designed for one private property owner to take on the neighborhood's water. This is a 35% lot. I did notice about the flooding. The garden seems to be growing really well on this property. I don't know if any of you took a ride by there, but there appears to be a community garden on this piece of property. Something else about, they came up about 25-foot lots being split. One of the questions on the variance standards says did the special circumstance arise from the applicant? And if someone went to divide up 3 lots into 25-foot lots, that's being caused, the hardship's being caused by the applicant. So that is not a possibility. The address was given by the city. That was, the address I had was from the property appraiser's office. That's why the discrepancy in addresses. In addition, as far as lot coverage variances, it's very clear that many of the surrounding neighbors have already received variances for lot coverage and setbacks. Many. It's very simple. If you look on property appraiser or Google Earth to see that. I'm not trying to be a bad neighbor here. I would Jackson Beach residents. Yet while this house is narrow, it will not, in my humble opinion, hurt property values. We'll market this property at somewhere close to $600,000. So,
Can I ask a question, John? And thank you for your diagram here, but I'm looking at this where the 2452 property lines are, and by these dotted green lines, you gotta take the fence down on 1125. Is that correct? I follow your map. I look at this right corner on 1125 house. You have to take that fence down. What happens is you're creating a lot of nonconformities by this house project I'm looking at. But is that where that fence will go on the neighbor on 1125 by his pool? This little green line on your plan?
I'm not sure if I'm looking at the same thing.
Will you supply us?
If I can approach
Yeah, a
it.
few questions. So all the way down to back and forth. That line, that is what you're drawing, that's what it is.
This is the lot, right? This is this line here.
Right. That goes into that house, does it not? Into
No.
that fence?
Well, this fence, yes, it appears that
Goes with that first fence.
It appears that it's been
Oh,
fenced
sorry.
off.
Yes. So that's been fenced off. And the second question is referencing back your rebuttal. Is this still held by the developer of the master plan who built all these houses?
No, this was owned now by OC Development, who built some other lots in the neighborhood.
Because they bought a bundle package, if I'm
But not
mistaken.
contiguous.
Not
to-
continuous, but it was a parcel package. You had to buy all of it at once, just for my knowledge of record.
But
Thank you.
this lot is not contiguous to any other lots.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
That's all questions I have.
And just.
I have a question.
Sorry.
You cited to section 2 of section 34, 286 of the Land Development Code. That's the special circumstances and conditions that do not result from the actions of the applicant.
That's correct.
However, if it's found to be a self-imposed hardship, that would result from the actions of the applicant. It has been suggested by some of the witnesses here that you could actually build a home that could be conforming to the Land Development Code. Could you address that now?
I mean, the only way to build a home on that particular lot and conform to the Land Development Code is to build a 10-foot wide house. Literally, that's the only way to do it.
And how wide is your current, I think?
15.
15 feet. So,
Yeah, 10-foot wide house would be awfully narrow to get bedrooms and a hallway. It's basically, that's what I said, it basically makes that lot almost unbuildable.
I worked in Baltimore for 25 years. Standard row homes were 6 feet.
No,
So you could build a 10-foot home. You're saying you just don't choose to.
no, I respectfully disagree that you can build a 10-foot wide house and have it be livable. If you have a hallway, if you have a long, narrow house, you have to have a hallway to get from front to back. That would render housing a bedroom 9 feet on the inside into one direction. So you have 9 feet by whatever. It would be awfully narrow. So I've never built one. I've built many, many 15-foot wide houses, but nothing 10 feet wide.
Thank you.
I can't imagine 6 feet wide where I can reach out and touch both of them.
One or two walls.
Any other questions? Please proceed. Bring the public hearing to a close and bring the matter back to the board.
I haven't been on the board as long as you have. I've never seen so many letters against something since I've been on the board.
I think I would agree with you.
Yeah, maybe you wouldn't or you wouldn't, but this is a ton of people that are against it to actually live in the neighborhood.
And I go back to on the record about this was a bulk buy. The owner of the property knew this parcel, it was non-contiguous, knew he picked it up because it was not an option buy. He had to buy them all to develop the other pieces. So at that point, he's self-imposing his own hardship by trying to sell it. It's reach, but he knew there was a 25-foot lot. He never was able to develop it.
I agree. I think this is a self-imposed hardship. We don't have to say what kind of house goes on there, but it doesn't seem like this is really an existing hardship, but more of a self-imposed hardship. Specifically with section 34-286, condition number 2.
Any other discussion? If not, the chair would welcome a motion of some sort.
Okay, I'll make a motion to deny application BOA 21-100059. It's failure to meet standards 1 and 2s. Special conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to this parcel of land or structure which are not applicable to other possible parcels of land, structures, or buildings in the same zoning district.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? May we please have a roll call vote?
Can you clarify that? With the vote?
Yes, it's no.
On record. Thank you, Frank.
Jeff Truler,
Yes.
Alexi Gonzalez,
No.
Owen Curley,
No.
Francis Reddington,
Yes.
John Moran.
Just, I want to clarify, a yes vote is...
The motion made was denied. So yes would be no.
Okay.
Can I change my vote? I'm sorry.
We'll start over on the voting. And a yes vote is to deny the application. Give me 1 second. Oops. Sorry, give me 1 second. I want to make sure I get it. All right, here we go. Francis Reddington,
Yes.
Jeff Trular,
Yes.
Alexi Gonzalez,
No.
Owen Crowley,
Yes.
John Moran.
Yes. The motion has been turned down. Variance. Next item on the agenda?
Board calls case number BOA number 21-100063. Applicant owner Kristen and Brett McInerney. Property address 1550 Sunset Drive, parcel ID 178-348-0000. Legal description lot 23, block 5, Ocean Forest, unit 1. Current zoning RS1. Motion to consider a variance from Land Development Code section 34-336E1C1 for a front yard setback of 16.7 feet in lieu of 25 feet minimum, and 34-336E1D for a carport in lieu of a required one-car garage to convert the existing carport into habitable space and to allow for a carport addition to a non-conforming single-family dwelling.
So the applicant are ready to please come forward. Be sworn in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this case is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And if you can please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Brett McInerney. I live at 1550 Sunset Drive, Jacksonville Beach, Florida.
And can you describe the nature of the hardship created by your property?
So the nature of the hardship, in our opinion, is that there are many homes throughout the neighborhood, and especially on our street, Sunset Drive, that include carports off the front of the house. The proposed carport that we would like to construct in the front of the home conforms to the neighborhood, and it will not affect the essential character of the neighborhood. Our lot is unique and when compared to other homes in the neighborhood, including the other corner lots, since it is on a cul-de-sac, and the home is built at an angle on a triangular shaped lot. Since the new carport, which we'd like to be built, will consist simply of covered roof and the support posts, the proposed carport will not hinder any sight lines, will not affect the look of the neighborhood or affect the neighbors surrounding us. There was really no other reasonable place to put the carport due to the hardship or covered parking without excessive cost and removal of trees on the lot. Construction of the carport on the side of the house would also require rerouting the driveway and also removing trees on the lot so that it could be accessed. And also constructing that carport on the side of the home would encroach possibly on our neighbors, which we don't want to do.
If I understand correctly, you're going to put a 20.5-foot carport so that the driveway shrinks down to 16.5 feet?
It'll just be covering the existing driveway.
The entire driveway?
No, not the entire driveway.
Have you spoken to neighbors about this?
Actually, I have.
Okay. My only concern was the line of sight. You're pushing it out and create a line of sight issue for your neighbors. Well, if they have any comments about that.
Yeah, they didn't have any comments about that. There's a lot of foliage between our two homes as it is. Yeah, the trees and the ferns and that. And then we spoke to the neighbors directly across from the cul-de-sac, and they were in favor of it.
And your intent was to condition the space that's the current carport, is that correct?
Correct.
And I can see that easier, more mechanically easier, just to connect.
Yes.
Instead of trying to push that addition behind you, is what I think your comments were shared in the
Exactly.
application.
What's the square footage of the lot? Does anybody know?
14,654 square feet for a minimum lot area of 10,000, so it's not undersized. But it is very oddly shaped. And our packet says the home was built in 1955. Have you done any renovations to the home since purchasing it?
The home is remodeled on the interior, and we just added a deck on the back of the home.
Okay.
That's what I thought. I didn't see Google Earth, but yeah.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Another question, I like your sign, your scripted sign for your address.
Thank you very much. I believe it was Etsy. I'll get you the address.
Okay, you may be seated.
Thank you.
There is no one who's expressed interest in speaking regarding this case, so I bring the matter before the board and close the public hearing.
I know the lot's very large, but I do recognize the hardship the way it's constructed. It's great that request for the size.
I looked for line of sight and I didn't see any problem with the line of sight.
Yeah, and again, talk with neighbors and support it, not hear anybody on it.
The only line of sight would be the neighbor on the north side.
Yeah.
And they're not complaining, I guess. So we should build a garage instead of a carport.
Okay, any other comments, questions? If not, I'd be glad to entertain some sort of motion.
I move that we approve BOA 21-100063 based on the standards for a variance as outlined in section 34-336E1D of the Land Development Code.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Joe Trular,
Yes.
Alexa Gonzalez,
Yes.
Francis Reddington, Owen Crowley,
Yes.
John Moreland.
Yes. You have your request. Before we adjourn tonight, I'd like to thank our police representative. Better security. We appreciate it. We have 4 cases at our next meeting on June 15th, 2 weeks from tonight. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved.
Second.
Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Me too. John, Cheryl,